evening. Jalinar, how's it going? Doing on this fine Thursday night. Right on, glad to hear it. I had every intention of oil painting tonight, but work has been a little hectic and I kind of didn't have the time to set it all up, so... Plus, I had some other stuff I wanted to work on anyway, so... No time like the present, right? You and me both. I'm wanting to go for something a little like that will ultimately be a little more conceptual on this piece. I'm hoping. I don't usually do that, so I know that at some point this is going to just involve a lot of painting around to try and find the right mood. Not meant to be a terribly complex piece, but it will involve a lot of I don't know, I mean rendering, but not, I don't think a terrible amount of detail. Yeah, for work today I was just bouncing around. Did some stuff in Procreate, some stuff on paper, some stuff in Photoshop, so it's just like, I'm not gonna tackle another medium today. Let's just do this. Hey, our Frosty, thanks for the sub, the Prime sub, 2 months. Right on. I appreciate that, my friend. This piece to have almost mask-like feel eventually. With some of the other stuff, like the ears and things, I know are going to be kind of punched out almost with negative space. Not almost, with negative space. Let's commit. R Frosty, I am working on were you in Autumn's stream last night at all? I know he's been talking about kind of the whole concept behind NFTs, right? Non-fungible tokens. So I've been thinking for a while, like what would I want to do along those roads, and kind of want to treat it a little more like fine art, you know, rather than going full on illustration. So just doing something that's a little more conceptual, I guess. Something to do with the element of water, because I'll probably do an accompanying piece at some point that's fire. And I may double it up too. I may do like earth and water, and then do fire and air, something like that. So I'm kind of playing with the ideas of like water spirits, kind of, which is where I want, like, so she'll have her earrings and things, but I want this to have a lot of play between positive and negative shapes. So we'll lose some details here, and I want it to feel a little ethereal and otherworldly, I guess. So I'd done like a super rough. I don't even know if you'll be able to see it. Probably not. Maybe. Sort of. Little tiny thumbnails that you probably can't really see too well. Sort of. So it is just almost more like notes, I guess, just to try and jot down the idea, because I had to get other stuff done, and I didn't, it's just sort of placeholder things. So that's where, I want this jewelry that's going to be very, I guess, water-like, we could say. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, and that's where I know that it's going to involve a lot of painting around at some point. And I've considered the idea possibly of doing maybe a little animation on it, but I'm not sure. I don't know if I want to get into that. But either way, I've got some time to think about it. We won't get that far tonight. I can work pretty quick when I need to, but not that quick. Yeah, I mean, it's in my smallish moleskin, so that's like the actual size of them. But yeah, it was, I tend to work pretty small even when I do more finished stuff. I think there's something about the type of marks that you can get when you work small that is really fun. Hey, what's up, Shmee? How you doing? I'm happy to see you here. I know I said I was going to oil paint tonight, but I didn't have the time to set it all up. I was doing stuff for work right up until I had to just make dinner and then get to streaming. So it's Procreate tonight, because I want to got some other stuff in my head I want to get out too. was saying this piece I want to be a bit more conceptual. Something around a water spirit of some kind. So there's going to be a bit of play between the positive and negative shapes, you know? And I want the face to take on the bit of a mask-like quality at a certain point. So I'll probably have to figure out exactly how to do that. Yo, Archer Kel! Yo, Cammy, what's up? Right, Autumn? Man, I was like bouncing around today. I was saying like I had every intention of oil painting today, but I did some stuff in Procreate for work. I did some stuff on paper for work. I did some stuff in Photoshop. And so I was just like, okay, you know what? I'm not throwing another medium in today. Let's stick with the iPad. So anyone that was in Autumn's stream last night, and I know that he got into a bit of a discussion of NFTs, and I've been kicking around ideas for a while. So that's what this is aimed at. So something a bit more conceptual, you know, that could be, but, you know, can still have some of the illustrative qualities that I tend to gravitate toward. Yeah, my beard. No, it probably needs a little bit of love. It's starting to grow out in places, but you know, it's hanging in there. What I really need is a haircut, so I'm probably gonna buzz half of it at some point. I know, Paradox, it used to be a traditional stream. But you know what? I'm trying to think if my very first ever stream was traditional or digital, and I think it was digital. I think. Oh my god, you know how long it would take for me to grow out my hair for a ponytail? After a certain point, my hair just doesn't really grow much. But even if I could, I wouldn't. You know, I've seen some people with Procreate where rather than have it plugged in, they actually have a camera on the screen, and it looks really good. And the nice thing about that is that with Procreate, it's so hard to keep track of where the brush is, right? For the viewers. So I've been considering that. But I would need a good camera for that too. Meaning a second good camera. So how's everyone doing tonight? Trying to think if I want texture don't know. Hey. What up, IT52? How's it going? Cammy, I'm doing well. It was a hectic day. That's all at work. You know, nothing wasn't bad by any means. It was just hectic. So, what are you gonna do? I know I could have just flood filled, but whatever. Here, let's do this. So we're not being totally silly about it. This brush has a bit of color variation on it, so that'll give us, you know, a range of hues in there. Yo, Martest. Yes, digital. I just didn't have it in me for oils today. I almost did. I thought about it, but... Oh, Paradox. I hate that. I'm so used to going to the thing that I forget that I have the color palette out already. Yeah, I hate that. You get all spun, right? So again, this is going to have a lot of play between positive and negative space, which I know I'm going to be painting back and forth on, but whatever. Whatevs. Yo, Viscera, what's up? How's it going? How are you doing? It sounds like everyone kind of had hectic days at work today. Ooh, it must be Thursday, right? It's like, at least here in the US, we all had a short week, but have a short week. There's still another day in the week, and boy, does it not feel short. But what are you gonna do? Okay, you know what? I'm so used to clicking over on the color palette that we're just gonna do that. I'm gonna put it back there. There's a part I'm trying to decide like how bright I want some of the stuff back there to go. So we're gonna go pretty bright, I think. Let's see how it looks. Just a little. We won't go so yellow. Because if I'm thinking like water spirit kind of vibes, right? Maybe we don't go, we keep it within the more watery palette. Oh, really? Cammy, is it buffering for you a whole bunch? How is it for everyone else? On my dashboard, it's saying it's excellent. My connection, at least, is excellent. Better be. Gigabyte connection. Better be excellent. I like some of those warms mixing in there. Gives it kind of an opally vibe. Yeah, you know, I have some of those days where Twitch is just lame. Shadow Walk, who's your what's your D&D character? Oh, nice. That's cool. I'm gonna have her lighting be more or less top down, you know, just for the symmetry. I'm a big fan of asymmetry most of the time, but I think not in this case. I don't mind if there's some natural kind of, you know, organic asymmetry. Like, I'm not going to turn on the symmetry tool because I just don't do that. There are times, like if you're under the gun and it's, you know, it's something where the symmetry tool will help, cool, but I do prefer something more organic. Paradox. Shadow Walk, that's also, you know, partly the brushes that I like to use, you know. I think it sort of helps me because I'm so used to thinking in terms of mark making and brush marks in general from oil painting and watercolor, that it kind of helps me keep things cohesive in my mind, right? Where it's easier then for me to bounce back and forth, you know, if I can kind of keep the same thought process from one medium to the next. So I do tend to try and keep a similar look, you know, and that way, hopefully, I'm always learning something that I can apply to all the stuff that I like to do, you know. Ideally, if I'm digitally painting, I maybe will learn some things that I can apply to traditional and vice versa. I mean, traditional tends to always give you a better understanding of color, so there's always that. Bringing in more of the shadows and mid-tones right now. More, I mean, shadows, maybe dark mid-tones, because I'll bring more variety in here pretty soon. render things out a little bit more. It's funny though, every time if I've been in Photoshop and then I come back to Procreate, I constantly am thinking like, oh, I gotta save it, I gotta save it, I gotta save it. But Procreate doesn't have to do that. It saves as you go. I also have the wet mix turned on the brush, so you know that's where the blending is coming from. Procreate does a way better job than Photoshop does in that regard. I mean, Photoshop can do it, obviously, but for some reason it is so like. I'm assuming it's GPU intensive, but I don't know, because it just does not work as smoothly as Procreate does. Shadow Walk, I would say I do prefer Procreate overall. I prefer Photoshop for like post-production stuff, you know, like you really can't beat it for that. But just for the general drawing and painting, I do prefer Procreate quite a bit. The only thing is, sometimes I just want to use the Cintiq because it's much larger, you know. There are times that I don't want to deal with the little, whatever, 13-inch screen on the iPad Pro when I could use my giant 32-inch Cintiq. Because the other side is I like to be able to see the entire image, right? So I don't like to have to zoom in much, and that's why you'll often see me in Procreate just not zooming in. I'm usually zoomed out quite a bit. And then I have to sometimes remember that, oh wait, people are watching this on stream, and if I'm zoomed out, like, they can't see it as well as I can. Unless they're on a big monitor and they have it full screen or whatever. I'm gonna bring some different color variations into this as well, I think. But I wanted to start with something that felt more kind of monochromatic, similar to what a mask might be. Upstairs people, chill out. Nope. I didn't even touch my mic. That was some upstairs craziness. One thing I like with Procreate is that I don't know if there's a setting where you could change it if you want to, though I don't know why you would want to, but where like it's really easy, and here I'll do it on the top of the hair here, where you can see the direction of that brush, and then I just have to turn the stylus and it, you know, so I can control the direction of the brush so easily, and that's just kind of built in. So it's really nice when you have like a square brush like this, which is what I tend to use when I oil paint. Squares and filberts, flats and filberts, I should say. And you know, you can set that in Photoshop, obviously. Like most of my brushes in Photoshop are set to the angle. Jitter is set to tilt, set to pen tilt. So it does the same thing, but I like that it's built into Procreate. Yeah, and it's done in a way where you don't even really have to think about it. If you're used to painting like with real brushes, it just feels, it just kind of does what you expect it to do, which is rad. Super dope. I agree. IT52, I totally agree. you know, there are a few little weird things with Procreate sometimes. But I think it's not always to do with Procreate more as much as it is like the iPad, which sometimes gets a little funky, right? It's not perfect. So, but whatever. Can't expect it to be, not really. Shadow Walk, what are you painting on? Are you painting on the iPad? Trying to decide if this is going to be a mask kind of a vibe. Like, do I want to get into something that feels like actual eyelashes or not? I'm not sure. Maybe. I don't even know what that is. Honestly, though, there's so many tablets out there that, which is awesome. I think it's always good that, you know, we've got people creating some kind of competition. Right? That's a good thing. Nice. Yeah, I personally would really, really love it if Apple came out with an iPad that had a 17-inch screen. I would love that. Absolutely love it. I don't care about battery, just as long as it can keep a charge if it's plugged in. I always have mine plugged in anyway. Don't need a crazy amount of battery life. Personally. One thing to always keep in mind is that, like, if we ignore the hair of the eyebrow, right? And pay attention, and I can make this more exaggerated because I'm going to redo those brows anyway, but paying attention to the bony ridge underneath the skin, right? And how that, let's see if this guy will show it to us. Right? That bony ridge. And the eyebrows will basically curve. They go from the under part of the bridge up and over to the top part of that ridge, right? So that's always something to keep in mind when we're lighting stuff, right? Is that the hair needs to be kind of a secondary thought in a way. Because as it goes up and over, then it needs to get lit up there, right? needs to be catching some light. Not like it, doesn't have to get lit, but we need to light it. It's, there are those areas where, and fuck, I do it all the time, where we will tend to just automatically kind of fall back onto the symbols that we're used to seeing, and the eyebrows are one of those. Because we'll just slap the hair on there, and it is a quick way to indicate the ideas that we're trying to communicate, right? But with a little bit more effort, usually just a few more marks, realistically, we can describe that stuff a bit more and really get into the form and not just rely on the flat shapes, unless we want to play with that graphic design, right? Which is fine. Totally cool. Nothing says we have to render out everything. And a little bit of play between rendered and graphic is very rarely a bad thing. I know I'm gonna want to play with this surface a bit and give it, some kind of vibe, but I don't really know what yet. Don't know. It's interesting, I don't usually work in like such a cool palette. I mean, I guess that's not true. Those sea elves were largely very cool palette. but I tend to gravitate more toward like warmer palettes most of the time. But I don't know, this one, and there's definitely going to be some warmer elements to it at some point. Yeah, I do want her to have a bit of an expression, and I might push it a little bit more. Because the other thing is, like, you know, if I'm thinking of this as like a potential NFT type of thing, and it's something, you know, I still tend to think of it as something that someone might want to display, right? As digital art displays kind of, I don't know if I can say they're becoming a thing. I think a lot of places are still struggling to make them a thing beyond just like photo frames, you know, but like if we think about legit art displays, just because, like, you know, I want to create something that maybe I would want to display. In the hopes that maybe other people would want to also. So that's where I feel like if she has a little bit of an expression, and hopefully a somewhat pleasant expression, then I feel like that's a little more appealing. You know, I don't want to make her like, I don't want to make her too severe, I guess. Axel VGA 6, thanks for the follow. Shadow Walk NFT is a non-fungible token. Basically a way to mark digital art either as, it's not specifically only for digital art, but it can be used for digital art to mark it as, no, Autumn, no one's talking about NFTs. But Shadowwalk, it gives us the opportunity to actually basically through use of you know, the blockchain technology, you can mark a digital file as being the original, or you can mint a series of it, similar to like limited edition prints and that kind of stuff. But, you know, so it's a way to actually then potentially sell a digital file as an original, you know, because it is essentially marked as such. And so So anything other than that is just a copy, right? Like snapping a photo of a painting in a museum. So, you know, it has a lot of potential, especially as, you know, more and more digital assets are created, right? Like digital assets are a thing and they ain't going away. So that was a heavily simplified version, by the way. It's funny because I'll see a lot of people in Procreate, you know, spinning stuff to get the angles on things, and I've never done that. Even in my sketchbook, I just don't turn my page, you know. But what I will do is this, because talk about way asymmetrical. But that's cool. You know what I will do though is for the drawing guide. The drawing guide will help if you want to keep an eye on you know, where the center of the page is, right? So we can already see that off center. I'm close, but I ain't there. So we'll just just because I feel like for this piece, like this kind of stuff actually matters. Normally I wouldn't care that much if it's a little bit off, but this piece, the composition is like based on being fairly symmetrical. Like I said, I don't care about things being perfectly symmetrical. Really doesn't matter. The main point is that when people look at it, you don't want people to look at it and be like, that's off, you know. So if we can get it close. Easiest way, we're just gonna cheat because that's what digital art allows us to do. We will liquefy some of this. Because liquefy is our friend. Sometimes. Yeah, it's funny when it's like you flip the canvas and then all of a sudden it will change the vibe sometimes. You know, and for something like this, really with any piece, it is valuable to kind of flip your canvas back and forth as you're working, you know. It just constantly gives you fresh eyes on something, and that's always a good thing. Because then after a bit, I'll get used to seeing it like this, and then I'll flip it again, and it'll look all weird and... I'm not sure how much I want to pronounce some of this, like the maskness of it. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I think it probably depends on what app you're working in, right? At least with Procreate, it has a built-in function that I can add to my quick menu here, right? And you can also set it up in your hotkeys in Photoshop. But if you're not using one of those, I couldn't tell you. I assume most apps have some way to do it, but it may not be as quick in all of them. I think I have it hotkeyed in Photoshop too. I just don't remember what my hotkey is. I've not been painting that much in Photoshop. Actually, that's not true. I have been painting in Photoshop for work. When I think about it, I've actually been painting a decent amount. Has it transformed much? I don't know when you left, so... I'm debating. I'm not totally sold on the the light on the sides. Like, I kind of want to play that up a bit more, I think. But I don't want to go too bright. But that can be a nice way. So depending on how you want to create a soft edge, right? We can do it by literally having the edge be soft, or we can also do it by having a hard edge but having the values be very close, right? So that's always a possibility, and a nice way to maybe kind of lose some edges without really losing them. Just lets them kind of turn and sit back a bit. Let's play with some different highlight colors. And there are ways, like, I could... Part of me wants to use some of the kind of digital ways of doing some of this stuff, right? Using overlay layers and soft light layers and things. And I feel like, especially if we're talking about the world of NFTs, where we are talking about a piece of art really just living as a digital piece of art, then, like, why not? You know, why not use those, essentially the light layers, right? But there is something kind of also fun about seeing what kinds of things we can paint ourselves. You know, kind of push our own understanding of lighting. I'm still going to use some of those layers at some point, though. Don't get me wrong. I like to paint as much as I can by hand, and then see where I want to throw the post-production bravado in. I should also do. Probably turn up my brightness so that I can see what you guys are seeing. I'm so used to thinking of digital as it might relate to print. So, like, I'm not used to just thinking of it as purely a digital piece. Drawing guide. Hit the drawing guide. Kick that opacity down because I don't need it. And the light between highlights and midtones is really what's going to give us a texture, right? Midtones is where texture shows up the most, but it can also show up in the way that the light sits on the surface. So it's a fun chance to like, play with some of that stuff. Funky. So it's maybe a chance to play with a little bit of iridescence, right? Play with that idea. And I'm always a big fan of simultaneous contrast. So getting to play with those like same values but different colors, you know, especially at the high value range is really fun. Hey, thanks, R. Frosty. Thank you. Appreciate that. We think so. So I don't mind if things are a little asymmetrical, but what's happening is it is looking almost like her head is slightly turned. That's what I don't really want. So we gotta make some little adjustments. And I think it's mostly just the way that the light is hitting that's giving it that illusion. Maybe. Yeah, it's I know it's a hard one not to notice. And I don't mind it a little if it's there a little bit, you know. I want to create a little bit of texture, so I'm just using the smudge tool on the highlights, mostly on the edges of the highlights, to kind of like, I don't want it to just be the square brush marks, right? I want to vary our brush marks as much as we can. Not as much as we can, but enough to keep it interesting. Right. We actually have to be careful of how much we vary our brush marks. Too much and it'll just look obnoxious. So, a little bit is okay. It's funny, it's such a habit for me to, like, you know, lean back, squint at it, when I really could just zoom out. But, I don't know, it's not the same. I always love catching the edges of forms and making things feel more sculptural, I guess. I'm gonna lighten the side planes of the nose because they shouldn't be like in shadow like that. Not really. Yeah, they could be if I wanted them to be, but they shouldn't be that much. Thanks, our Frosty. Yeah, I wanted a bit of that iridescent feel. You know, just something that kind of helps her feel a little like otherworldly. Alright, so there are a couple things I can do. And this is where I knew it would involve a bit of painting around, right? I mean, this is kind of always the journey where it's like I'll paint something and then I'll like it and then I'll paint something else and then maybe I won't like it as much, and you know, there can be a bit of back and forth in that regard. This is the journey of art. One of the things is that some of this stuff is getting a little simplified, I guess. Like more than I might, maybe. Because again, mask-like quality, so it can get simplified, right? I'm not trying to like trick people into thinking it's an actual face or that it was like based on someone or anything like that. So I don't mind if it simplifies, but I think we can pay a little more attention to how we're turning forms. Normally, if I was oil painting, I would pay very close attention to when I'm changing value and when I'm changing temperature. Of course, if we get into iridescent shit, I don't know how much of that plays into it. I wanted to kind of have a bit of color shift in different parts of the face, similar to how we would naturally have, right, in our skin tones. So that's why, like, I don't want to carry the green sort of highlights up into the forehead area, right? And the nose and the chin have more of the hot, warm reds, stuff like that. So yeah, trying to pay close attention to that. Got some more like yellows and things up top. See here, I need just gonna give me the lines that I want. Yes, I think has no opacity. No. There we go. It's a little better. That's better. Trying to think of how I want to view this. And this is where I will probably play with some asymmetry, because I want to do some like designs on here. Great, Sariana, what's up, dude? I'll give you a second, because chances are you got hit with an ad, huh? Oh no, or are you here? I don't know. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I always do that. I'll raid and then I get hit with an ad, so I have to like wait for the ad to pass. Blah blah blah. Welcome, raiders. Welcome, raiders. How is it going? How is everybody? Ariana, what's up? How was your stream? Welcome, everybody. My name is Daniel Landerman. I'm an illustrator and sketch artist and advertising, doing movie posters and TV posters and video game posters and lots of key art. Do lots of key art. Right on. Oh yeah, there's links to stuff. Sariana, anything you want to share? We would love to see it. I'm sitting here trying to... And I'm completely overthinking this stuff because it doesn't need to be this perfect. Yet, right? We can treat this almost as like sketch, and then we can refine the design. I want that. It's too big. Cool. Vex Machina, thank you. I appreciate that. And Digital Cluster, don't give up art. Yeah, I'm kind of doing something that's a little more conceptual. I'm thinking kind of water spirit sort of vibe. So that's sort of what this is slowly inching toward. I was doing those swirls, not swirlies. Swirlies are something else entirely. I feel like I was doing them way too big for what I wanted. I don't want them to be distracting, right? That's okay. Lots of puppy is not a bad thing. Oh damn. You're going for some of that iridescence. That's cool. Not an easy thing to paint. I will say that. Right on, dude. That's tight. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, the armor looks great. Digital Cluster, I'm using Procreate on the iPad Pro today. And thanks, Tomahawk33. No, I left my papyrus cabinet today. No ancient paper here. We're going with high-tech new paper today. Yeah, Tomahawk, we've got a range of music today. It's like a 6-hour playlist, so I don't know what all will be on here. It's just all my streaming friendly music, so. Digital cluster, I would actually agree with that. It is annoying when you're really comfortable in one tool and then you pick up something new and you're like, look, I know what I want to do. It's just not doing it, you know? I think the iPad, honestly, is super easy to get used to. If you're used to drawing or painting digitally already, right? If you're not, then it'll take some getting used to. But if you're used to using another tool, then I feel like if you just give it a solid like day or two, you'll feel pretty comfortable in it. And I mean, Procreate is like so intuitive in so many ways that I just feel like, you know, you can really kind of dig in and dive in and get going on it pretty quick. And thanks for the follow, Digital Cluster. Appreciate it. I'm debating, I kind of, so I sort of want these swirls to possibly cut across. They're not going to be just like this, right? I'm going to mess with them and catch some highlights. I'm going to kick their opacity down so they're not so dark. This is just so that I can kind of play with the design. I don't know if I want them to do that. Shit. But yeah, I have plans for them. Just like as I figure them out, I'm trying to think of how I want to execute those plans. So, we'll see. Yeah, it kind of depends. Like, I don't know exactly what kinds of details I want to, put into this. I tend to keep things a bit painterly. I rarely go for something that's like fully rendered in the photographic sense. But there's gonna be a lot more going on still. Yo, she Dorketh. What's up? How's it going? And Joby, how you doing, brother? So, because we'll kick these down a bit. And I do like to layer on top. I feel like it kind of creates just a bit more visual interest that way. So even though I will also collapse layers as I go, right? Because like I don't need all these to be a separate layer at this point. The times that I'll keep layers separate is when it's a different blending mode. She Dorketh, how you doing? Welcome, Raiders. How was your stream? How was your stream? Right on. Do you want to share anything? Do you want to share what you did on your stream? I would love to see it. And I'm sure other people would love to see it too. If it's somewhere where you can share it. If not, then feel free to link any of your socials or anything like that. To all the newcomers, my name is Daniel Landerman. I work as a illustrator and sketch artist in advertising, doing key art for film, TV, and video games. Yeah, that's what I do during the day. Outside of work hours, whatever I feel like. I suppose we could look at some other things that I've done that I actually have on the iPad. Because I probably even have stuff that's TOS friendly. Which, that's always a good thing. Fucking TOS. Let's look. What have I done? What have I done? Emotes. I'm pointing at it like you can see what I'm pointing at, but you can't. These are things we've done on stream, so that's fun. We'll look at Bayou Jeb here. Hello. Oh, it's opening. It's trying to open, process, and load. What's my most known famous piece? Well, first, let's look at Shidorket's Insta. Word. Right on. Rocking the fantasy. I dig it. Oh, and some traditional sketchbook work. Always love seeing sketchbook work. Right on. I recognize the unicorn girl. And I'm trying to think of where you may have rated another stream or something where you showed that. I'm not sure. Right on. Then it may have been in my stream then, because I recognize her. I remember really liking. I think you did a great job on her hands, which is never an easy task. But they just have a lot of feeling to them, and that's super awesome to see. So, right on. Right on. Oh, yeah, our Bayou Jeb here with our morbid scene. And I believe we did this on stream as well, because I just watched Totoro, so I was like, I'm gonna paint Totoro. So that was a fun one. We also painted this one on stream. I think this was either for Halloween or just before Halloween. You know, had to paint another creepy scene, which is always a fun task. I know, a little different than Totoro. That's okay. That's okay. We also did. We painted this one on stream as well. This was a little earlier last year, or maybe June actually, June of last year. When we painted this. How did you miss what, Cammy? Dave was just getting firewood. I also painted this one on stream. I think I also did this one in May or June. I'm not sure. Yeah. So, you know, I paint literally whatever I'm in the mood to paint when I'm not working. And Digital Cluster, you asked what my most famous piece would be. And I'm not sure. I really don't know. I didn't paint this one on stream, but I did this for the Earth Draws campaign. It's either last year or 2019. I don't remember. Oh, Cammy, I don't know. So for the campaign that 3D Total did, right, where all the proceeds go to basically planting more trees in the rainforest. So thus the epic tree, heavily inspired by Secret of Mana. Mermaids have the vote. I can't, because they're not TOS friendly. I wish I could, but I can't show boobies on stream. I wish I could. I very much wish I could. We can view them from afar. I've actually painted most of these on stream too, I think. Well, no, not entirely. That's a lie. Yeah, I wish I could show you my mermaids. What you could do though, you can go to ArtStation. If you follow that link, you will be able to view the mermaids. I know I painted her on stream as well. That was fun. She was over a few sessions. Right. So, anywho, also painted her on stream. She started, I don't know if I have the full, ooh, I do. I wonder if I could, if I can figure out a way to, group those. So this had started out, I had actually done, the watercolor I actually did on stream too, but that was back in like 2018, I think, when I did this, because I didn't stream for a good year and a half or so, but I had actually drawn and painted this one on stream. So this was on watercolor paper. But then I wanted to really like get into the details, you know, and more of the textures. So then I decided to do the full digital paint up where I could kind of get into that stuff a bit more. But you can see when I zoom in, I still tend to keep things fairly loose. I like to kind of indicate textures and stuff more. Granted, I actually did get into the embroidery on there just because it was kind of a key part of her outfit, so, you know. But you can still see all the watercolor in the, you know, in the stone and stuff. It's like, I like that texture, let's keep it. So, yeah, I like doing that stuff. Fun shit. So, yeah. Anyway, let's get back to it. Where do I get my ideas for clothing? Right, when they wear clothes. Which I do. Okay, so I clothe my characters when it's for an actual story, right? Ooh, we can also look at the 6 fan arts. That was fun. These, of course, were all done. These were all done pencil on paper, or Prismacolor on Duraline, anyway. And then these were digital. I cheated, and the one of Mal I had already kind of painted for Upper Deck, but then I wanted to tweak it and make it better, so I touched it up for this. And then Toph and Tifa I painted for the 6 fan arts challenge. But my ideas for clothing, it comes from all over. Honestly, like, I love fashion. I have a lot of fun, like, looking at fashion design and coming up with different fashion designs. But then also considering, like, okay, knowing that even modern fashion design comes like a lot of that stuff is even inspired by old fashion, right? They just kind of update it with the different materials and things that they can use now. So a lot of times if I'm thinking fantasy, I like to go the other way and take some more modern concepts, but then think about, okay, well, with the limited technology that they had back in the day, what would that look like back then, right? They wouldn't have been able to do, most of the time, they wouldn't have been able to do as fine of stitching and things like that unless you had like a really top-notch, you know, seamstress working on it, which only the rich people could have afforded, you know? So you'll end up with thicker stitching and stuff like that. But I like to kind of play around with pulling inspiration from different cultures and stuff too. You know, like I'm mixed culture. I'm half Indian, right? My mom is from India, born and raised there. And then I'm like mixed Northwestern European, you know, on my dad's side. So, you know, I like to pull from kind of all of that stuff. I pull a lot from the Indian culture. There's a lot that I've always resonated with on that level. So much of like my fantasy design tends to be a little, I should say, a lot more influenced by like Indian, Asian, Middle Eastern kind of motifs and like clothing and stuff like that. I find it more fun to draw and design than like the heavily European-based fantasy stuff. So like that tall elf girl, her armor was all inspired by Indian armor, like in the medieval time period. Though I don't know if they would have called it that in India, but. You know what's funny though, Cammy, is I'm not like, I don't actually care that much about the like the really big labels these days. I used to be more into that, and I still appreciate the stuff that they do, for sure. Maybe one of these days I'll actually be able to get like fucking awesome Burberry suit or fucking $10,000 Prada suit. Not anytime soon though. Yeah, I've gotten more into just like smaller labels that are doing interesting things. But there was a point where I had very, very heavily considered like how might I get into fashion design? And then I quickly realized I don't want anything to do with that world. I can't handle that kind of drama. Just can't do it. Not my thing. Drama-free zone over here, my friends. Little tiny highlights. I remember I think it was in 7th grade when my teacher, our main teacher, because I'd gone to a private school, and so we had kind of a main teacher that would, teach us what were the main lessons, whatever those main lessons were at the time. But she was like, also she was a writer and really into art and poetry and stuff like that. Funny enough, she and I always butted heads. She loved me to death, but couldn't quite get past the fact that I loved drawing like monsters and shit. But I remember her showing me a Rembrandt painting, like 7th grade, and pointing out how he indicated detail, right? Implied detail without actually doing a ton of detail. And for whatever reason, like, that really like hit home for me. It's probably because I tend to get a little lazy with art. Not as much anymore, but back in the day, I wanted to get everything done really fast. So that idea of implying detail without actually having to do a lot of detail, I was like, what? You can do that? And, so it was like staring at that stuff for a long time. And naturally, like, that has stuck with me always. It's like the foundation for most of what I do these days is implying detail. Yeah, our Frosty, that's kind of where I'm like, okay, sort of playing with this mask idea, right? And so sort of, it could be etched in, kind of, like I like that idea, so I want it to have that sort of three-dimensional vibe to it. No, Cammy, I didn't. Who was my inspiration when it comes to drawing and painting? Ooh, that's digital cluster. That's a long list. I mean, I would say the ones that always percolate to the top, would have to be the pre-Raphaelites. Sir Lawrence Alma Tadema and John William Waterhouse. All the naturalists and realists like Jules Bastien Lepage, what I'm blanking on his name right now. Ilya Repin, love Repin, and then you get into the American illustrators. I absolutely love all the Brandywine artists. Dean Cornwell being my favorite one, but I mean, I love Howard Pyle, love N.C. Wyeth, love Harvey Dunn. That whole crew, they were just badasses. Always got to give a shout out to Sargent, because I mean, his brushwork was amazing. Yeah, I mean, those are the ones that kind of always go to the top of my list, I think. If I had to really distill it down, I would say Jules Bastien Lepage, Sir Lawrence Alma Tadema, and Dean Cornwell. are like the ones that I really constantly go back to. And I mean, I love contemporary artists too. I just don't tend to want to get like inspired by them, right? Because they're contemporary. They're working and they're doing their best to do what they do, and you know, I have no interest in, you know, trying to encroach on their territory, I guess. So I tend to not want to reference them too much. But that being said, I mean, there are artists that I do absolutely very greatly admire. You know, my friend Sean Cheatham is one of them. You know, my buddy Jeff Nentrup, Hollis Dunlap, Jeremy Lipking. There's a whole slew of painters whose work I absolutely adore. And I know I'm basically talking about all traditional painters, because that tends to be, you know, just where my head likes to sit most of the time, more so than digital. Even when I'm working digitally, I'm still trying to think traditionally. Sort of the way that I do. Hey, you have claws. None of that. None of that. You rat. Come here. Okay, come on, little cat. Come and say hi. Come and say hi. Am I gonna be on the DL cam here? There's the little one. What's up, Crown Clown? Kitty, kitty, kitty. Kitty. Getting your whiskers in my mouth. Yeah, digital cluster. That one, I absolutely love his Joan of Arc painting. Anytime I've gone to the Met, that's like I make a beeline for that. One of my absolute favorite paintings. And then the little one that he did of Sarah Bernhardt is so amazing. It's such a phenomenal little painting. Of course, I was just talking about implying detail, and now I'm actually considering like really like putting in a lot of detail. Because again, I love to do layers, you know? I love when a painting has layers of interest, and I don't want it to just be like, you know, you can look at it for 15 seconds and get the whole thing. right? I like to have layers of visuals that can kind of pull you in. So like I have these swirls and stuff that are kind of etched in, but I sort of want to do even more like subtle ones, you know? And that's where I'm considering, I don't know if I want to like, you might have to just zen out and put them on a soft light layer will give us our look. Hey, Brent Hollowell. Thank you, thank you. I'm just debating if I want to. It's like looking around her eyes. We'll start on the left eye here. I kind of want to just add little. More little just designs, you know, implied design. Implied meaning like I'm not actually gonna sit there and figure out exactly what these designs are. Just more of the swirl, kind of Art Nouveau sort of things. Because this is like that idea of the water spirit, right? So that kind of flowing Nouveau vibe just sort of fits, I think. I'm just doing this on a soft light layer though, so that I don't have to worry about. Move over to the screen right eye. I'm doing on a soft light layer so that I, you know, don't have to worry about controlling the value as much. It'll kind of do that for me as long. All I have to do is control the pressure. Right. I haven't really gotten into her hair yet. Been mostly focusing on the face. The hair is actually gonna end up taking on a bit of a water look. And then we'll have the necklace, and we're playing with a lot of positive, negative shape here, right? So like you see her ears, but it's almost like knocked out as a negative shape. So there's definitely gonna be some layering on this. There's no way we're gonna be finishing this tonight. Yeah, I intend to put a bit more. A bit more time into this one. Hey, thanks, Brent Hollowell. Yeah, I wanted that like iridescent kind of vibe, right? Like an abalone shell. Or like fish when you take them out of water, right? They get all iridescent. on her lips as well. I feel like should think about I've always been really inspired by some of the traditional henna designs, you know, in India. I always love those. I think they're really beautiful. Let's see here. Might be a good opportunity to play with some of the light layers, right? Because they can give us some effects that might be trickier to paint on our own. They don't always work, but I think it's worth trying. Just remembering that, you know, that is the benefit of working in digital, right? Is that we're actually painting with light. We're not just painting with reflected light. And so the opportunity to do things that we can't really do, right? We can get colors and values in digital that we can't get in traditional. Yeah, digital cluster, that was oh, Cami, I will probably be on for another half hour or so, I think. Yeah, digital cluster, that was definitely like, that was a thing back then, right? I mean, I was in grade school and high school in the 90s, right? So that was like, that was definitely a time where people were still really into the idea that, oh, you can't make it as an artist, you know? Better choose a stable career. But lucky for me, my mom had wanted to be an artist and was going to be before she got married, but she still was like very into it and supported my brother and I drawing as much as we wanted to, as long as we still did the dishes. My dad was more apprehensive in being a dentist, but he knew better than to argue with my mom, so at least when it came to raising the children. Mama knows best. Blues. Hey, thanks, Pumpkin Unicorn. Water blues and that. Let's see here. So I'm just trying to, sneak in more of those colors now. It's the only thing when you do get into painting with the light layers, you have to be careful. It can get washed out at times, so sometimes we need to sort of force the color a little bit and get a little more heat in there, a little more pigment, so to speak, more saturation. Yo, Jay-Z, what's up, brother? And Shadowwalk, yeah, my mom is rad. One of the other things that I really like in Procreate is that with most brushes, if you tilt the pencil more, it brings out the texture more. So it'll go like more transparent, and it'll bring out the texture. It's kind of like kicking the flow down on a brush in Photoshop. But it affords some like really nice control that way. So at a certain point, I'll probably also do like, I don't know what brush I would use. Maybe the shader. But I'll also do like more light. Sort of emanating from her eyes and stuff, from the eyes of the mask or whatever. I'm just debating on the color, and maybe not the I'll have to like really kind of give it some thought as to exactly how this light will be working, but so like this won't necessarily be final, but just to give you guys an idea of where I might go with this. Like when we really get into the light sort of emanating from this and the luminosity of all of it, I don't know, that'll be really fun. It will be fun. Yeah, they will be glowy. Nah. Hey, thanks, Cammy. And thank you, Shadow Walk. I think I'll definitely get into like just little designy details that again you won't even really see unless you look close, you know. Sculptural kind of things. We're just working on the nose right now, putting in very, very tiny, subtle little marks. That's the only thing is like with Procreate, I can't, even if you have the brush tip turned on, it's like, it's so hard to see it. Just wanted to even out the whatever is going on with her eyebrows, if we can call them, or eyelashes, I mean. Just want to like differentiate that underplane of the nose more. So maybe there are a couple ways we could do that. I can either darken it, or I can say that maybe it's catching not that light. Should not be that light. Why did I grab that? Way too light. Way too light. But it can be catching light on the underplane, or I could go darker, but I'm kind of liking the idea of playing with the luminosity a bit more. Maybe. Perhaps. it's always interesting when you're not you know, you're not using reference and just kind of just painting around, finding the right forms. You know, it's, I don't know, it's always an interesting journey to me. I have a lot of fun with it. It takes a while sometimes to like really find what it is you're looking for with it, but it's a lot of fun. Let's get some little really delicate filigree on her nose. And again, just that implied detail, right? Now I'm kind of just looking at where I might want to just crisp up some of it, right? Because you don't have to put crisp detail everywhere in order to make it feel like it's all been addressed. Ah, thank you, Cammy. Oh, thanks, Shadowwalk. Yeah, it's, you know, it is fun, like, any way that we can to use what we can to turn form, right? And in this case, using them like contour lines, essentially, to turn the forms around. So get up, rocking the Cryomera shirt today. Thank you for that stretch, Cammy. So just like looking along her lips, you know, just seeing like, hey, where can I put a little sharp edge just to define the form and then, you know, move on from there and not sit there and fuss with every little thing. Right? Most of the time, if we just address those edges, and I am a big stickler on edges. Let's grab some of that. Lend a little bit of luminosity to that reflected light. Normally, I would not go that heavy on... I mean, this is almost more like fill light rather than reflected light, right? Being is that it's pretty much emanating from some other light source. So technically it's not reflected light. This, like under her nose, would be reflected light, but the stuff on the side of her face is more like light bleed, right? Just helps me, again, to turn the form a bit. But normally, reflected light would never be as bright as anything in the midtones or lights. At least not as bright as anything in the lights, for sure. Could be as bright as something in the midtones, possibly. But reflected light still sits in the shadows, so we always want to be careful with how crazy we go with that. But in this case, with so much light bouncing around, I feel like we can actually get away with doing quite a bit. Like more than what we would normally do. But I want this piece to have a lot of luminosity to it, so yeah, I'm okay with pumping a bunch of air into the shadows. Cool. And then what I might do here, another overlay. So one thing I like with overlay is that we can really play with both lights and darks on it, right? Basically, it has less and less effect as you get to the mid-tones. So like 50% will do nothing, right? But as you get lighter, it'll have more effect, and as you get darker, it'll have more effect. So I'm gonna play with those darks a little bit. And we'll see. I may not keep what I do, but it's, you know, it's never a bad idea to just test some stuff out and see kind of like what that's doing, as long as I keep it a little more subtle. Digital cluster, I probably have. It sounds like something I'm sure I've done for work at some point, which is very hard to keep track of because we draw a lot of shit for work. But I don't know. I don't think I've ever like rendered that. But I'm sure I've done a sketch of it. So let's bring in some other colors here. Lose some of that iridescence in there. No, digital cluster. I work for an ad agency. Yeah, as a sketch artist and illustrator. So anything that you can think of that might be in the key art for a video game or a TV show or a movie, that whole range of possibilities, chances are I've drawn it. I'm in my 14th year as a sketch artist, so you know, I've drawn a lot of shit. Trying to figure out which. Is it that one? Maybe. Fuck it. I'll just put it on this one. Actually, let's do this. I want to keep the color variation going, so I don't want to just keep going back to the same color every time. And I know you had asked what the most famous thing I'd worked on was, and I don't think I ever answered it. And I mean, it's hard to say because it kind of depends on the circles that people run in, right? If you've been on Twitch a lot, then you've seen the key art for Star Wars Squadrons. I was part of that team. That's all I can say. painted up the IMAX poster for Avengers Endgame. The first IMAX poster, not the re-release. So not the Infinity Gauntlet, but the whole giant cast. I mean, you know, obviously working with photography on that one, because you can't not, you know, 28 people or whatever, and you have to get likeness on all of them. Photos are a must. Did a bunch of stuff on the Borderlands. Which one was it? Was it? I don't know what number they're on. Whichever one the Mural of Mayhem was for. I painted a lot on the Mural of Mayhem, and that whole series, that like character series where it was kind of Rembrandt style portraits of the characters. I painted those up. That was fun. The IMAX poster for Justice League, I painted that. The DC Fandom poster for, well, the two alt posters for the Suicide Squad for DC Fandom, that was last year. I illustrated that. Super fun piece because I actually got to do it from scratch, which was awesome. Like got to start with pencils because we just didn't have photography to support it. So, you know, it's rare that we get to work that way. Usually it always starts with photos because likeness is so key. But with that one, yeah, I got to actually start with a pencil drawing and then just paint it up. It's fun. Oh, right on. You know, don't tell anyone. I've never actually played it. I feel bad sometimes, like working on especially some of the games, and I've never played them, but I don't have the time, you know? It's like, well, do you want me to get this poster done, or do you want me to play the game? All right. I think I might call this one for now. For tonight. It's not nearly done, but I gotta really think about where the rest of it is going. I had a sort of clear idea for where the face was going. The rest, though, I'm gonna have to definitely ponder. But before I forget, I would like to just throw in some quick placeholders, because that stuff will eventually get painted over, but I want her to have earrings and whatnot. So even though we're not really going to see her ears, I want the jewelry to be visible. And I'm considering, I don't know if I actually want to show the necklaces wrapping all the way around. That would be kind of cool, because it just like would give it a totally different vibe. Like that mask is really just floating above this jewelry, right? Definitely be a different vibe, but it'd be kind of cool. Really push the surreal aspect, so we might do that. Yes, we are going. I think I am gonna call it for tonight. I gotta try and get up, you know, somewhat early tomorrow, just get shit done. So Gonna try and turn in at a decent hour. But let's see about possibly raiding. Wow, there's like nobody. Ariana, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna raid tonight. So we're gonna call her here. We'll turn our drawing guide off for now, and we can see where we landed. I'm okay with that for, 3 hours of painting. I'm cool with her so far. Not nearly done though. We got lots to do. So we may get. I'll probably keep working on her though, even off stream, because we'll see. I wouldn't mind doing some oils on Monday, but I'll just have to kind of see what kind of headspace I'm in. So we'll play it by ear. I make no promises. Hey, Dan Overkill, thank you. And I'm very glad you're able to come and check it out. I will be back Monday, 7 p.m. Pacific time. And we'll either keep going on this one or we'll be working on something else. I have a feeling we'll keep going on this one though. That's my guess, but I make no promises. We'll see. Thank you everybody for hanging out with me. I appreciate it, and I will see you next week. I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. I'm certainly looking forward to it. Man, even though I have a lot of art to do over the weekend. When do I not? Story of my life. I regret nothing. All right, my friends. We will see y'all next week. And until then, y'all take care of yourselves. All right, peace.